Hello YouTubers. Um, this video I'm going to give you a possibility for food and meat that some people don't really look into. A lot of people don't even know this is actually possible to a certain extent. Um, Normally when you raise fish, like in a mass situation, like you got the fish farms and all that kind of stuff, you raise fish and eventually the water gets toxic, they dump it, and then you have issues with plants, just different things, because it's such a concentrated situation. It usually ain't very good for the environment. And anybody that's ever grown plants know that the plants will grow and eventually they rob the soil of vitamins and nutrients and stuff that the plants need and different things, and it hurts the plants and it hurts the ground. Well, and the only other option is you have to add fertilizer and whatnot to the system to make it work. Now, this is a possibility. Now, of course, you have to adjust to your scale and change however you see fit. It's aquaponics. Now, you can YouTube it, look it up. There's all sorts of different ways of doing it and whatnot. This way works for me. I've been running this system for approximately a year and a half, almost 2 years, and I've still got the same water in it as I started with. And anybody that's ever had goldfish and raised goldfish or any kind of fish, you know that normally they don't last very long if you never change the water. So, this is how it works. It's pretty simple. The fish do their business here, run their water, and it goes floating in the water and mixes in with the water. It goes in, and then the plants suck up the water and the nutrients and all the food and everything, taking the bad stuff out of the water, using it to grow and do its little plant thing, and it filters the water. Now, in between that and that, in between the fish and the plant, there's these little tiny organisms. It's like almost like a bacteria, but not a dangerous bacteria. It's a good bacteria. And little organisms and stuff that take the solid matter from the fish, break it down, and turn it into useful food for the plants. Plants filter the water, get that stuff, the organisms broke down out of the water, and then the water goes back into the system. Now, of course, you have to have some type of flowing to the water, so you need a pump or something similar. Actually, I've seen some aquaponic systems that run a wind-powered pump, and seemed to work pretty well. It kept the water flowing, kept oxygen to the fish, and put the water where it needed to be for the plants. So, all in all, it's a runnable system. Now, what I have now, I ain't got no plants growing at this exact moment, just some random seeds that I just tossed in there to have something growing to help filter the water. But, normally I'll have beans and whatnot. Right now, I just ain't got nothing because I really ain't been fooling with it as much. I've been more preoccupied with other things. But I've had bean plants. I've grown corn out of this. All sorts of stuff. And, it sits in the middle of my living room. And, I got fish, plants, and all just living harmoniously together, perfectly happy, and no problems. Well, let me get the camera here, and I'll give you a little bit better view if I can get the thing to get close enough. Alright. Over here is the ground, which is built up from rock and whatnot. A lot of people said that you can't use dirt, but I've been using dirt for at least a year of the system, and I haven't had any problems with it. Maybe if you know more about aquaponics than I do, maybe you could tell me why, but, I haven't had no problems. I've got worms in there. They do their little thing and all that. Over in the corner, There's a little sunken place. That's where the pump is. I've done it that way so I can easily access the pump in case I have any issues with the pumps or anything like that. Then the water goes up and over, and then comes out the end of the hose up there and sprinkles down. Now in here, I have, let me move some stuff so you can see them a little better. The fish. They're just plain old goldfish. They're actually gotten pretty big compared to where they was when I first got them. And they just live in there in their little water. I've got some old pieces of PVC laying in there that they can swim inside or whatever to keep, hide if that's what they want to do. In between, all I've got right there is just a divider that normally goes for like a trying to keep from shaking as much as possible. It's a divider that normally goes for like reptiles, where they have like a little water area, like a turtle or something. They got a dry area and a wet area, and that's normally what that's used for. I'm just using it as a spacer to kind of stop the gravel and dirt setup from piling over into the water area. Hell, you could build this pretty much in any way you want. Actually, as deep as the tank is, I probably should have built it a little taller. I'm actually considering about tearing this system out and redoing it and actually building it more closer to the dirt area, more close to there where I have more deeper water for the fish. I just have a simple little small aquarium heater in there that keeps the water nice and toasty for them in case I'm not home or, if, the water gets too chilly, which normally they don't really have much issue unless the water gets really cold. So as long as you keep your house warm in the winter and cool in the summer, they seem to do just fine anyways. I have, I ain't sure. I think I got 9 goldfish last time I counted. I ain't had no problems. That's the same water that I had when I first started the system. I have not changed the water. I've just topped it off as it's been used by the plants. I've got algae growing, which really, that ain't a bad thing. That helps filter the water as well. It uses up some of the bad stuff that the fish can't use or all that the plants eat, and it eats it too. I have some snails in there, which you can't see them. They're hiding. And I have an algae eater in there that they swim around, they eat the algae. So that's food for them that I don't have to deal with. Plus, they poop and do all their little things just like the fish, and it turns into the same stuff and gets used up by the plants just the same way. At least that's what I've experienced. I haven't had no problems. Right now, I've only got one tall plant and a few grass seeds and stuff in there. It's just kind of laid over. You really can't tell very much. Really, it ain't a lot of plants I've got in there, just a handful, something simple just to help filter it. Actually, the algae is probably what's doing most of the filtering system right now. The pump, I'm just using just a simple, the little styrofoam waterfall things you buy like really cheap to set up in your house and make a little water sound and stuff like that. That's pretty much all I'm using, just some scrap tubing I had, lying around and stuff. The pump's fine. It don't really do no big deal. Now, if the water gets murky, let's say I'm digging around for some reason or whatever, the gravel and the stuff between here and over here, it ain't connected. It just sucks through the rock and actually filters the water and cleans all the particles and junk out. So when the water comes back in, it's clear. Now, it's a pretty simple system. People use all sorts of different stuff. A lot of people will take the grow bed and then mount it up above the unit and then have a flood system. So the water fills up, and when it reaches a certain point, it all dumps back into the tank. For room reasons, that's the only reason I didn't really do that. So, this works just fine for what little I've done. I've more or less experimented with it instead of actually trying to mass produce stuff. There's some people that actually have almost a whole garden in their basement or something running this whole system. Now, this system actually eliminates the problems that you normally get by having the fish. Now, this is a double crop system. Not, your main crop will be your plants. Your plants is what you'll mainly get off the system because, fish take a while to grow. So the plants are what you mainly start with, or really don't start with, but the plants are what you really are getting out of it. So what plants you plant are really what kind of food you'll be getting out of it. Now, over time, the fish will grow. Now, the best fish you can actually use is tilapia. Now, they're a vegetarian fish. You don't really want to use a meat-eating fish because they usually have a tendency to eat each other if they get too hungry. But as a vegetarian fish, there's a plant called duckweed. You can only find it in the summer or springtime, growing on ponds. It's like a really small lily pad. Now, these fish, goldfish, will actually eat that too. So, and actually, technically, you can eat it too. It actually tastes kind of like salad, just regular lettuce. But you can eat it as well. So that gives you multi-uses. You can dry it out and actually feed it to chickens. So that actually gives you, as a small type system, that actually gives you a multi-use on the setup. Now, tilapia, in about a year's time, I think it's about a year, 6 months to a year, somewhere right in there, you'll go from a itty-bitty little fish to a plate-sized dinner-eating fish. So you can't use a little tank like I've got on a tilapia type. And tilapia really ain't that expensive. They're reasonably priced fish. If somebody says that, they'll sell you this darn tilapia for outrageous prices, shoot, they're losing it. Because the ones I've found that I was going to get for a bigger system actually didn't cost much more than, your regular everyday fish, like a goldfish or something. It wasn't too badly priced. It's a good fish, and it's a mild fish. You don't really have a heavy fishy taste, so you can actually use the fish for more than just normal fish dinners and stuff because it really takes seasoning very well. You can change the taste of a tilapia really easy. Now, tilapia originally come from Africa, and it's a white fish. It's a white flavored fish. Now, they got different breeds of them and stuff, but pretty much all of them are to a certain extent the same. And they breed very rapidly, so it's also very useful for, keeping the fish going. If you take a fish that takes forever to breed, then you're going to end up having a long time for the babies to come around and then having more fish. They're a mouth breeder fish. The babies live in the mouth. It's weird. Look it up. Look up tilapia. You don't believe me, go look it up. But they're a good tasting fish. They're not like a heavy fishy fish taste or anything like that. Actually, I might end up putting some of that in my pond that I talked about in an earlier video. Good fish. They don't take too long to breed. And shoot, I'll have plenty of fish very quickly. But they're vegetarian, so they're really not a hard fish to take care of. Shoot, I can plant duckweed, and duckweed grows quick too, so it should balance out the number of fish, the number of duckweed, and I have plenty of food to feed the fish. Plus, I can eat the duckweed myself because it's basically just a lettuce. Well, I just figured I'd give you a little extra information on something that might be a useful situation in your prepping and survival-like situation and homesteading too. It gives you another way of growing food than just a regular garden and regular pond. Basically, really all you're doing is taking pond water and basically spraying it on your plants. It's really all it is, really. And then the only difference is the fish are getting the water back and it's filtered. But it's a closed system. They work good together. You need to play with it a little, find a balance between number of plants and the number of fish. But usually it's pretty relaxed. Actually, the bigger the system you build, the easier it is to maintain. Now, you need to keep track of your water pHs and all that stuff, just like a fish tank, to make sure it ain't getting out of whack. Now, a small system, like a small fish tank, is going to have more fluctuations than a big system, because a big system, more water, it ain't going to fluctuate as easy. My system's kind of small for what it is, but I never really had much problems with it. Maybe I was just lucky. But give her a shot. If you want to try this, hey, throw me some messages, ask me some questions. Thank you. God bless. And